Hello hobby hunters, Neolus here with another Demon Rush review. I curse Mastar for dropping this right when I'm homesick with COVID. I do have the time, but I feel like crap. Don't worry though, as you can tell, I'm wearing a mask, so keep your distance from the screen and you should be fine. I was thinking of waiting for the full chapter rather than reviewing it in parts, but the people I asked about it demanded review now. And after I inquired Mastar about the frequency of the upcoming chapter parts, I found out it might take a bit too long. I'm not going to complain because that just means more content prospects for me and the videos will be shorter, meaning less work in the short run, and I can always pull a cheap one and put all my reviews together in one video later down the line for extra views. Alright, let's get this motherfucker out of the way so you don't bitch at me about it later. Warning, spoilers ahead. If you intend to read this graphic novel, go do it now and then come back. I'll wait. If you press the pause button. First off, there are no giant fucking swords in this chapter, so if you expected that joke in this video, well, you just got it. And if you don't get that reference, what the fuck are you doing watching the second chapter review without seeing the first? Go watch it. Speaking of the first chapter, it established that in the year 2022, the gates of hell will open up on Earth and hordes of demons come out to ravage the planet. Wait, hold on, that's now? Hey, wait, where the hell are you going? Put down the toilet paper, close that Fallout bunker door, and sit your ass back down. There's nothing to worry about. Look, Star City. There's no real world city with that name. So this story takes place in an entirely fictional... Wait, put down the weapon. Look, it's just a store. Fictional world. Anyway, this chapter starts in Star City in the year 2029, only 7 years after the pre-mentioned apocalypse. As we pan down, we see humans walking about, but no trace of any devils, demons, or mothers-in-law. But that doesn't mean all is well, as we see a man standing on top of a car, spreading the good word of our Lord and Savior, Satan. And unlike in real life, people are actually listening to him and cheering him on. In the meantime, Soren, standing atop a building, is looking down at them with disgust in what he's seeing, but understands their reasoning in choosing the winning side as they have been on the losing end of the fight for 7 years. As in real life, the government tried to cover up the initial attack as a hoax, but then randomly, sporadic invasions took place all over Earth and life as we know it ended, for most. Some people still work their jobs and cling to their former life, like they watch The Walking Dead and think it's possible in a demon-infested world. We jump to the year 2022, Doomsday, the day Doom descended. That day, we are introduced to the lovely Amelia, who we know is going to be important because the artist is clearly drawing attention to her. Soren and this Adonis of an anime teenager, Rush, and his entourage of swooning cheerleaders. As they banter about soccer, a bully has a kid pinned to some lockers for your typical dumbass bully reason, as you do. Not sure if Soren is calling attention to that situation here, or is actually trying to stop Rush from interfering. If it was the latter, it sure didn't help as Rush attacks the bully's insecurity and prompts him to attack. Even Rush is surprised when Soren rushes in, intercepts the blow and turns the bully's momentum against himself and ragdolls him into the lockers I assume are on the other side of the hallway. Soren then lets the bully walk away with a warning, which prompts Rush to tell his friends how lucky he is. And he actually backs off, for now, although I don't get why. This dude looks like he can put my 33-year-old ass 6 feet under just by flexing his biceps. Then again, this is manga, so pretty boys win. It does look like Soren is relieved, reminding Rush of potential consequences. And from the casual way Rush responds, I'm not entirely convinced he would mind very much. A little later, Soren and Amelia are walking down the street, as Soren boasts on how good Rush is at soccer and will play pro across the world. But Amelia is more concerned about Soren's future, and we get this sweet, loving, tender moment of a demon eating a human's face off. Soren and Amelia get distracted by people screaming to run, but Soren notices the demon is gone, so warns Amelia to stay close. However, all hell breaks loose. Literally, people are running and screaming while winged demons fly over them. Jaws get ripped off, bodies get split in twain, and people get swooped up like Jurassic World goers. It's a bloody mess of teeth and claws, just like any regular family meeting. In the chaos, Soren leads Amelia to an alleyway into a scene that's only slightly scarier than seeing my ex-girlfriend without makeup. And we leave them there, turning the alleyway into a cliff, as we won't return to them in this part of the chapter. Instead, we go to an army base where a soldier reports to this General Ross-looking ass general. The general, not believing the city is under attack by monsters, likely just wishing it was the Hulk, demands a visual on the terrorists. He instantly gets a reality check when he sees the footage of this huge demon, likely the commander of the smaller ones, who exclaims he's finally back on Earth after 4,000 years and will revel in the blood of the innocent. And just before this chapter ends, something approaching or falling from above demands his attention. As with chapter 1, the art is amazing. I do want to stress this because I do have some gripes or nitpicks, and I don't want to give you the impression I'm hating on it. In my last review, I said the backgrounds felt kind of empty. Yeah, Pedro did a complete 180 on that and might have overcompensated on that statement. I love that there's a visible world the characters take place in. There's cities, streets, hallways on nearly every page. This isn't really what bothers me. In fact, this is one of the major improvements to chapter 1. What throws me off is that I counted at least 3 different styles of backgrounds. First, there's this beautiful hand-drawn backgrounds. I love these, they are personalized by the artist and you can clearly tell there's a signature style. The second is the one such as this alleyway, which to me kinda looks like certain assets have been photoshopped together to form these brick walls. And the third is the use of stock photos turned into black and white and slightly edited to appear more like they are drawn. Note that I do not have an issue with any of these methods. I know for a fact many mangaka use them for various reasons, one of which being deadlines. It is very hard to draw every single panel and background for a chapter in a set time frame, especially when said artist is the only person working on it. The issue here is that this chapter part is fairly short and it alternates between as well as combines these methods in rapid succession. I don't know, maybe I'm just delirious because of the corona, but it does kind of throw me off a little. It doesn't have a huge impact on my overall opinion of the comic though, and when it works, it fucking works marvelously. As for the characters, I just can't say anything negative, to be frank. I did have a few words on how the art style varies from time to time, but that detail is so minor compared to the sheer skill put into these characters, it turns into the mother of all nitpicks. Amelia looks adorable as fuck. Rush here looks like such a token of masculinity. If I were gay, I'd be right there swooning over him alongside those girls. The smirk on Rush and the look on the bully's face in this panel are so full of expression you nearly forget you're looking at a still image. The expressions on the general as he reacts to the report given to him, the panicked faces on the people as they run away, the detail on the gore, and these demons, especially in the last panel, just has me craving for more. All in all, the artwork is great, and I do hope Pedro will find a good balance in his background work. Small tip on this? Try to use stock images that don't have lettering on them. Other than that, keep up the amazing work. As for the story, the pacing is fast. Nothing overly unfollowable, but I would have appreciated a little bit more time with the main characters and get to know them a little bit better before shit hit the fan. I know many movies do this, and we always get a basic understanding of what the main characters are like before they are thrown into the thick of the plot. And that's exactly what this comic does as well. I just wish there was slightly more of it. Not to worry though, as I've come to understand, is that this comic might have a lot of flashbacks and is keeping some of the character backstories for later. What I mean with the pacing being fast is that we go to at least 5 different locations starting in the city in the future, go to the school in the past, then we stay in the past but we go to the city and then to the army base and end up back in the city in the span of a mere 20 pages. It's like everything I said in the first review flipped its script, including the story to action ratio. While the first chapter was a lot of action and some story, the second chapter, so far, is a lot of story with a slight bit of action. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, I just wanted to point that out. In fact, I like the fact that we're getting so much needed information fed to us here. Who are the characters? What are they like? What is the world like before and during the apocalypse? We are giving some answers to these questions while simultaneously keeping a bit of mystique, so you keep wanting more information. For example, the people in the future world seem to walk on the streets pretty casually. Why is that? We don't see any demons whatsoever, but we do know they are winning. This is affirmed by the man on the car stating it's either join the winning side or the end for you, as well as Soren stating it has been a losing battle since the initial attack 7 years ago. The man shouts, "The devil provides salvation! He offers power, wealth and riches. Join him and be saved." Just some food for thought, but what if these aren't just the ramblings of a madman? What if Lucifer and his generals have backed off for now with an ultimatum for the human race? It would explain why people are walking around so casually and why the mobs cheered this man on, choosing the evil side. If you saw demons rip people apart around you and were then posed the opportunity to live, yet it would be in the service of the Dark Lord, what would you do? Whether or not this is why people are still alive after 7 years, we can't tell because this chapter part does not answer that question, but it sure has me hooked into the story. We do know the attacks happen sporadically, and this part of town may just have been spared by mere coincidence. Then we have the school kerfuffle. It's a great setting to show us what the characters are like and what their interests are without telling us too much. We learn Amelia is important due to the way Pedro draws attention to her, but that importance isn't conveyed until after the school scene, and even then all we really learn about her is that she's Soren's love interest. For all we know, she may die in this chapter, or later one, giving impact on who Soren later becomes as a person. She may, or may not, be the reason he fights against the forces of evil. Speaking of Soren, we already established he's the hero of the story in chapter 1, but we didn't know much of his personality, which is further developed here. We know he has a strong sense of justice and is an understanding, good-natured, caring person. In the future, he despises how people are praising the forces of evil, but is understanding of their predicament. In the past, we can tell by the way he and Rush speak to one another and the way Soren boasts about Rush's capabilities that they are good friends. He also jumps in between Rush and the bully, knowing what consequences a fight could have on Rush's future. He lets the bully walk away and generally seems relieved that everything ended without further conflict. Also, like I said before in this panel, I'm not entirely sure if Soren is pulling attention to the bully or he's telling Rush to hold on. If it's the latter, this may speak about how well Soren knows Rush and realizes shit is about to go down if he doesn't do anything. Rush is in a stark contrast with this personality. He walks with full confidence, speaks in a much bolder way to his friend, and has no problem antagonizing the bully, evidently knowing full well what the consequences could be, which I've stated before as well, seems like a minor inconvenience to him, as he shrugs it off like it's nothing when Soren reminds him of it. From the look on his face here, Rush just feels like the type of character that takes pleasure in starting fights and probably enjoys them too. Given the fact that the option of fights or field exists, tells us this may not be too far from the truth. Aside from the known main characters, we also have this general who may or may not have a bigger role in this comic later on. There's not much we know about him other than his appearance, and he initially didn't believe there were monsters. What we do know is that the military will likely be involved in the next part and very likely get their asses handed to them. I would like to see how effective or not effective modern day weapons fare against these ancient creatures. And then finally we have our first big demon. He's slightly bigger than the others, but not a whole lot. He might be a captain. If I recall correctly from early Demon Rush inside looks, is that's what's right above underlings. I am curious what's above him here. It might be the army attacking, or maybe even a first response from the heavens or the human Templars. As of now, we don't really know for sure yet, but again, this leaves me wondering and anticipating more. 2 fucking cliffhangers. Dick move, Mastar. Dick move. In summary, it was a good chapter part. It was a bit fast for my taste, but did well conveying a bunch of things while simultaneously making me crave for more. The characters and events seem interesting, and I like that we got a slight taste of the future before we flash back into the very beginning. There are a few nitpicks here and there, but nothing that would stop me from reading. Seeing as this project is in its early stages and it's basically Mastar's first and only comic, I can easily overlook small issues like these and hope it only gets better from here. Forgive me for the lateness of this video. I was literally incapacitated for 5 days and only now felt well enough to make it. So if you'll excuse me, I'ma go lay down and sleep for the next 3 days. Let me know in the comments whether or not you think my thoughts are sound, and if you like this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next review comes out. Until then, bye.